When we live in fear and we operate out of fear, it causes us to hesitate. But when we operate in love, we take action.
I want you to know that this is the biggest damn opportunity you've ever seen in your life, and you better walk out of here treating it that way. Because if I can do it, I promise you any of you can do it. There's no question about that.
So the biggest thing that you can really free up is that constraint and think bigger, right? If you want your present to be better, your future has to be bigger. What is happening, Honey Badger Nation? Mr. Stasek, coming straight from the land, and
my friend,
I am back in Frisco, Texas.
Oh man, how's the weather down there?
It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly.
Yeah.
I will say though, man. Here's one thing I will say is that I miss this place. I dang sure miss this place. That's for sure.
Yeah,
holy smokes.
I loved flying into Frisco and the Dallas area when going all the way back, to 2010 when I had my first trip there. Fell in love with the area. The weather seemed to be always good when I was there, but we woke up to 22 degrees today, and it actually didn't even feel like it was that cold, but that's what the temperature said. And so, but it's hot in Honey Badger Nation.
It is always hot in Honey Badger Nation.
Yo.
Man, we got a room full of honey badgers, that's for sure. And
Love it.
Man, I had the opportunity, Jay kicks things off on day one, and then I get to rock out for a couple hours with the room, and I changed it up. It's kind of the first time in about 7 or 8 years I've kind of changed up the morning. And obviously you and I had and Cuz had the opportunity to speak at the Build Conference, and I only had 20 minutes, so I took that same presentation and was able to go an hour deep on it. And I had a few folks come up to me that had been to boot camp before, and they go, "Thank you." And I was like, well, yeah, sure, but like, what was it? And he goes, "Man, I don't know." He goes, "It was a lot simpler. You simplified it." I was like, "Got it. Thank you for that feedback." And he goes, "Man, I'm so clear on what I have to do to grow my business moving into the new year." And I know been spending some time with Coach Burt, and Coach Burt's theme is about vision. It's about creating that big future moving into the new year. And what for you guys, Stasek Group, I mean, what are you guys excited about moving into the new year?
Well, it's interesting because, as you know, it's been on my mind for over 12 months on what is the next version of the business model look like. The cool thing is that I wouldn't even be able to, I don't believe I'd have as much of an ability to think the way I'm thinking about how I might recreate it, how I can improve it, how I can make it better without it riding on the platform that we're riding on, which is the EXP Realty Stallion. And so,
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Well, if I was an independent broker, I'd have constraints that are in place that are just not in place right now. I wouldn't have 3 streams of income coming in. I'd have one, selling homes. Now, barring, the fact that I could have a side hustle, I could start a title company, mortgage company, all those things. Of course, obviously those are opportunities out there. I'm just talking about the ability that EXP Realty has given us to grow our income in 3 ways. We're still selling houses. We're still earning commissions. But in addition to that, we're growing our wealth long-term through the stock. And of course, our residuals are growing every month through the revenue share plan, which those weren't on the table when I was an independent broker. So it allows you to think differently, bigger, gives you some breathing room as to what could it look like. if it could look like any way you'd want it to look like. And so I've been going through that, not necessarily because it's broken. It's because I think that I'm always looking for a better way to support the agents. How could we make our offer better? What is it? Frank Kern. Rule number 1, always work on your offer. Rule number 2, always work on the offer. And so that's not just the offer to the marketplace of buyers and sellers, but it's also an offer to the marketplace of real estate agents who are looking to grow their business.
Yeah.
How can we improve our offer? Jay, myself, Holly, we've been working for the last 2.5 months on a new technology platform that we're trying to get out to everybody that's going to improve our offer. How is it going to improve our offer? It's going to help agents leverage technology and done for you, systems to be able to, give you the handles to the luggage, know exactly what to send to these prospects, know exactly how to follow up with them. Never worry about or wonder, well, what should I send them to follow up? I've been getting messages for the last 2 months about, hey, can you send me your sheet on what you send follow-ups for your, my hit list and my red zone people. And I'm just honest. I go to Jay's YouTube, go to my YouTube, go to Coach Bert's YouTube, go to Honey Badger Nation and go to John Kitchen's interviews with literally over 100 badasses that you've interviewed on Expert Mentors Live. You have everything in front of you to do it. So now, we're able to put this all in one technology that's going to make it real easy for follow-ups. That'll build it right in. So it's just improving the offer. So I think
let me add 2 cents to that too, right? So everybody can kind of put some context to it. Is your offer solving a problem? And so exactly what Al's sharing with everybody is that it's a problem. Like, people don't know what to send. They don't know how to segment the database. They don't understand that there's about 6 different stages or levels of a real estate agent. You got somebody that's getting into the business, thinking about getting a license or getting their license. You got somebody that's brand new, that's done less than 5 transactions. You've got a capper, you've got an icon agent, you've got somebody running a small team, you've got a mega team, and you got indies and brokers. Every one of those people have a different problem. And so what Al just broke down to all of you listening is that there's a problem, and Jay and Al are solving a problem. And I think it's a big problem. And I don't think it's a little problem, because if it's a little bitty problem, then people would figure it out. But people get paralyzed. They don't know, what do I do, Al? Right? They're hitting you up, like you said, every day. What do I send? And I hear the same thing over and over. It's like, what do I send? It's like, stop overcomplicating it. And truth be told, that's where the value is, and why you guys are working on the offer and working on it, because it's really trying to solve a big problem for a lot of agents.
Yeah. So, that's really what it boils down to. And, there's a lot of really great teams in this organization here in Honey Badger Nation that are killing it. And they have their models really dialed in tight, and that's great. And the cool thing is, you can call any of them. They'll open up their playbooks and tell you exactly what they're doing. And I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel to reinvent the wheel. I'm trying to redesign my business model on a local level that serves the agents at a better and a higher level, and serves me. It's you can't forget about yourself either. Like, it's got to serve everybody. Everybody has to win by it. And so what would it look like for me to be excited, enthusiastically excited about, like, just really pouring gasoline on this sucker and lighting it. So, that's kind of where we're going. I know what I love to do. I always started with, what do I love to do? And what do I not love to do? And the things I love to do is I love creating listing opportunities for agents. I love helping them on 3-way calls and helping them build, their revenue share, through helping them bring on productive agents. And if there was only 2 things that I could choose to do in the business, it would probably be those 2 things. Yeah. Help agents, on 3-way calls. I was on a call with about 22 or 23 honey badgers this morning at 8:30 in the morning, going through agent attraction. It's cool. It's fun. I love it. We did it for 35 minutes and I ran out of time, and I still didn't even touch on everything that we could have shared, because there's so many, there's so many great trainings out there that we can go on, from Rob Flick to Kinders to Michael Reese's to Coach Burt's. I'm sitting here looking at pages of notes that I've taken from Coach Burt, that, I can share. I didn't even get to everything.
Yeah.
So, I love that,
Yeah.
I love creating listing opportunities for agents and seeing them win the listings. I love that.
That's so cool.
Marketing piece of it. That stuff out. Those are the things I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else,
don't do it.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, right? That's what we were talking about at boot camp yesterday morning was, it's proficient in passion. What do you love? What do you love to do? And then, what are you good at? Like, we all have that superpower, that unique ability. And, the faster that you can uncover that and lean into it. And it's like what Gary Vee talks about, right? Go all in on your strengths. Now, I love David Goggins, and Goggins like, you gotta attack those weaknesses and make them a strength in other equities of your life, but not in business. In business, you gotta know what your superpower is, and you gotta lean in. And then where those weaknesses are is you gotta find things, resources, people that complement those things to allow you to move faster. And so, yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I'm looking at my notes. I'm looking at my notes from Coach Burt yesterday, and the theme this month is on vision, having a bigger vision for your business. And he went all in on, here's the sacrifices that if you want to grow your business into the next year, the 4 sacrifices that you're going to have to make. And looking at these 4 things, a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And that's why they're going to stay exactly where they're at. And, they're going to miss out on an incredible opportunity. Al, how many people over the last week shared with me one of the things that just gave them like the most excitement in their career? It was the transfer of the stock for hitting Icon into their account. And, you said at the beginning of the call is that you wouldn't be able to add all of the value without the platform you're on. Correct. There is no other. And this is what we've always said, right? It's like we hear agents all the time saying, Al, I love and I care for my agents so much. Well, if that was true, then you would look at the EXP opportunity, because no matter where you're at, you're not able to give them the things that can change their life, right? Like somebody seeing a transfer of stock for hitting Icon, getting rewarded for what they've done their entire career, like how that moves them. Like it was one of the coolest things to hear. And, I've been hearing a lot of really amazing things, that were a little bit of a challenge. I don't know if I told you this. So, Cindy, she said, "Hey, I got to share something with you." And I'm like, "Oh shit." Okay. So Cindy's in Tyler, Texas. I'm like, okay, because I know of some challenges, in the onboarding status and everything in the beginning. And she goes, "I just have to praise the legal team at EXP." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "They handled an issue better than I would have as a broker. They handled it better than I could have even imagined." Like she goes, I couldn't have executed on it the way they executed. She goes, "Unbelievable. Unbelievable." And I was like, please keep sharing those stories, because we need, it's they're happening all the time. And then we just, the leadership team needs to know about it at EXP.
No, that's great. We gotta get Cindy on a maybe on a live. She probably can't talk too many details about it, but that's a hell of a testimonial that I believe that a lot of brokers, independent brokers, that have a belief that it's not going to be what they think it's going to be, and that it's, I had a situation in 23 years of being licensed. I've only had one lawsuit against me, and it was ironically the first and only listing that I was handling as I moved the brokerage over from Stasek Real Estate Experts to EXP. And they ended up, the buyers of this home ended up suing the sellers, who are my clients. And they were a construction company that never flipped homes. They did high-end remodeling. They have a reputation in my market of being excellent. Like, they're top-rated remodelers, okay? And they just happened across this deal. So they're like, yeah, what the hell? Let's do it. And turns around, it turned out to be at the end a nightmare. But, they sued them because the house flooded afterwards. And they were saying that we all knew about it. And, no one knew that the house was flooded. No one lived there. But the long or the short of it is that you never want to get that letter or that call that you're being sued. But when you have a legal team that stands behind you, like they did with me, and I'm sure with Cindy, she had a great experience. And then, obviously that, I was tossed out of the case because it was BS, but the team handled it beautifully, and they hired a great attorney. And ultimately it wasn't, I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was a pleasant experience, because I don't think any lawsuit's a pleasant experience, but it was really great to know that I had the 800-pound gorilla, behind me, standing there ready to defend me. So that was cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is. And so, we were independent for so long in Lawton, as well as, down here in Dallas, and, always thinking about how can we add more value? How can we add more value to the agents? And the truth of it is, there's you run out of dollars, and, competing on, commission, pressure from your agents. And so when you're able to, plug into a platform that gives you things that you can't give, no matter how hard you try, it's pretty special. I want to share the 4 things that Coach Burt shared with us yesterday about the sacrifices of moving into the new year. If you really want to, really take your business to the next level. And we did an exercise. He talked about it a couple of weeks ago. And what was fun is that we actually did the exercise last week in the strategic coach program of 10 times your revenue. And so it's a visual exercise. And the exercise is where is your revenue going to be this year? So I've had, I challenged everybody at boot camp yesterday. I took them through the exercise as well, and say 300,000 this year, right? And we know, Al, that most real estate agents aren't thinking past Christmas right now. They're just trying to figure out how they're going to make sure that they get Christmas covered, and they've got commission dollars to maybe cover the credit card bill and mortgage going into January. And we know that to be true. That's just how real estate agents think. And so most of them are thinking incremental, right? They're thinking, okay, hey, I made 300, what would it look like if I made 500 next year? And so the exercise goes, okay, you made 300. What would it have to look like for you to make 3 million in revenue? And it catches them, because we know real estate agents don't think big enough. And so saying, okay, well, if I go from 300 to 3 million, and you have to speak as if it happened. So we added, 10 capping agents. We, set up a physical brick and mortar. We, brought in a COO, operational integrator, to help us execute. We hired 2 ISAs, right? So you kind of go through that visualization process of what happened that allowed you to 10 times your revenue. And it's just a fantastic exercise. And so what Coach Burt was talking about yesterday, he said, well, here's the 4 things that you have to sacrifice for that to be true. And number 1 is time. You're going to have to sacrifice time somewhere. Time doing things that aren't serving you to move you in that bigger direction. It could be, time with certain people that you're spending that you should not be spending more time with. Number 2 is money. You're going to have to invest some money. Jim Rohn 101, 10% of your targeted revenue better be invested in personal development and coaching and programs to allow you to scale and grow your business. 3rd was resources. you're going to have to sacrifice some resources to be able to move to that next level. And then number 4 was relationships. You're going to have to sacrifice some relationships for that to be true. And if you think about it, from 3 to 3 million, the people that are going to get you to 1 million are not going to get you to 3, right? That's the concept that Clayton Mask has proven time and time again, that he shared with us, so many years back, is that he believes in 1s and 3s. 300,000, you probably get there by yourself. Maybe you have one assistant. That assistant probably is not going to be with you when you get to 1 million. And that team that got you to 1 million, that team's probably not going to get you to 3. And if they did get you to 3, they damn sure are not going to get you to 10. So you gotta understand that you sacrifice and you outgrow relationships, and that's okay, right? I love what's his name? It's Ed Milet's partner with Andy Frisella. So Andy's like, did you leave them, or did they just choose not to come along? And most of the time, we know they just choose not to come along. And I think you can't.
I took notes on all this because I missed Coach's Matthew's 16th birthday. Was yesterday, and we were doing the happy birthday.
That's so awesome
stuff, and I missed this, and I'm bummed that I missed it. But I just took notes on all that.
Yeah,
love it. Let me ask a question. I get the time sacrifice. I get the money, meaning you're sacrificing money, but said differently, you're investing your money, into coaching, into maybe it's a tool, whatever it is. It could be a new hire, whatever. I get it. I get the relationship. What about when he talked about sacrificing resources? Can you unpack that?
Yeah, he touched on that just a little bit. That was the one that I was like, okay, what are you talking about here, to dive a little bit deeper? And he's like, you might have to time, energy, people. When you look at what are resources, tools, maybe there's some things some resources, some tools, some that are not serving you anymore, right? like us having 3 damn, lead generation tools, Tiger Leads, Boomtown, and what was Dwayne's company. Anyways, so Commissions Inc. Yeah, it's like what are we doing, man? like this is ridiculous, right? So we ended up cutting Boomtown, and we never cut Tiger Leads. I mean, that was the OG platform. So we had so much in there, we never cut it. But you look at those things. So that's maybe you got to cut some energy that you're exhausting somewhere, that you're wasting, or redirecting some of the people and what they're focused on, and just realigning those resources. So some of them feel like they carry over, but those were the 4 that he said, man, you're going to have to cut out. You're going to have to make sacrifices if you want to take your business not from 300,000 to 500,000. You're going to, if you really want it to grow and be something that's going to have an impact in your community, and that's, like you said, going to serve agents at a much bigger level, then you're going to have to. It's going to have to be bigger.
And really, to piggyback on that, John, I think where people run into this, I mean, this is a really powerful conversation for people to be listening in very closely on. Thinking instead of 300,000, thinking 10x that. What would it be to get 3 million? Thinking that much bigger. What I've observed over the years is that where people get stuck with that is they don't believe that it's possible. So if you're one of those people, and I was one of those, just so you know, I'm not picking on you. If you don't believe it, I was the skeptic myself. And you really, I would say this, get around a different group. This is where the sacrifice of the relationships are good. Yeah. You're not surrounding yourself with big enough people, right? I'm not telling you to toss all of your relationships in the trash. What I am saying is, I did a rant on Facebook Live a couple years ago, and it was about assets and liabilities, and looking at your relationships as, and really taking a hard look at your relationships and the people you're surrounding yourself on a daily basis with. Is they're either an asset or they're a liability? What are they? Okay. And if you were to go down the line and categorize your relationships, and I'm not talking about an asset in the form of they make you money, but an asset in the form of they make you better. They make you think better. They inspire you to be the better version of yourself versus the other people who you may like them. Shoot, you may even love them, but are they a liability? Are they pulling you back down? Are they are they cheering you on and wanting to win bigger, or are they kind of secretly not wanting to win bigger? Because if you won bigger, that would mean that you're on a different level than they are, and they're gonna feel inferior. And and sometimes people do it unconsciously. I believe that they're not doing it purposely. It's happening unconsciously, and those are people that, I'm sorry, but you got to burn the boats.
You do, man. My coach, my personal coach, he says, man, you got to go where you're a priority and not an option. And Coach Burt talks about go where you're celebrated, where you're not tolerated.
Yeah.
And so he talks about what happens with most agents is that they're too busy doing bluegill tasks instead of focused on blue marlin problems. And here's the challenge, Al, exactly to your point, what you just said. And this was his challenge yesterday on the call. What are the top 5 blue marlin relationships that you have to tackle right now? What are the top 5 blue marlin relationships? Think about it from a bluegill or a blue marlin. It's a big difference. What are the massive relationships you have to tackle right now for you to accomplish bigger things moving forward in the future? And I got 3. I'm still working on the other 2. And I'm like, if I can tackle these 3 relationships moving into the new year, like, that's how you get to a bigger future. And so I loved what you just said. There's so many people that they're in bluegill relationships and they're not thinking, how do I get into rooms and conversations that the blue marlin conversations are happening? And one, being a part of the Honey Badger Nation, that's a great first step. But what are you doing to get connected, get into the rooms? And it was amazing to see the Honey Badger. I mean, that room downstairs full of honey badgers. There's some people that are not a honey badger yet, but they're gonna be honey badgers. And they're in that room for a reason, and they're sucking it up, the information. And it's yeah, man, it's I loved everything that you just said. And then it just tied right in what Coach Burt said yesterday. It's like, y'all got to get into bigger relationships.
Man, dude, when you see what I just wrote down here, I'm serious. So I'm going to get a little personal. All right. And,
let's do it.
And I can tell you this, I've heard Coach Burt say, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And where people want to go where they're celebrated, not where they're tolerated. And I just wrote down, I went where I was celebrated and moved away from where I was tolerated. And that might be the number one reason why I got divorced.
Yeah.
I obviously I know many things, but when you look at it from that standpoint, that's no slam on, on my ex or anything like that, but that's the truth. I'm about the truth. I ain't about any bullshit, let's shine up a booger and make it look good or anything. This is the dead straight up truth. Someone wrote in there, Stephanie Porter, hard pill to swallow. Yeah. Honey badgers burn the boats. Honey badgers. I brought this book up many, many times. I'm sorry, John, I know you read A Hard Thing About Hard Things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't read The Hard Thing About Hard Things and you're growing your business and you plan on following what John just laid out, like if you're thinking 300,000 and you're like, screw it, what does 3 million look like? Let's lay this out. Let's think bigger and really lay it out. What does it need to look like? And if you have the guts to do that, you should read the book, The Hard Thing About Hard Things, because through that journey of discovery, you're going to make some wrong decisions, some bad turns, and that's okay. But the truth of it is, the hard thing about hard things is you have to make hard decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to burn the boats.
Yeah.
Burn the boats means there is no plan A. Plan B doesn't exist. It's plan A. Anything that sways you from getting to plan A, you know, and getting to the goal needs to be eliminated. And, you know, obviously, you know, don't take everything for literal what we're saying today. You know, don't go firing off all of your relationships, but be careful on that, because when you get good at it, you get good at it, right?
Yeah.
And so careful with that. It's a skill when you learn it, you know, could work, you know, the opposite way that you want it to. But I just think that, you know, man, go where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And what we're talking about in that is that what circle are you running in?
Yeah.
No. And everything changed in my life when I got around bigger thinkers. The first big change that I look back at is 2010 when I hired Coach Cliff and a Kindereese coaching program. I dove into that head first. The next change was when I was invited to the mastermind and you became my coach and made me even think bigger than even before, you know, and it all boiled down to getting around like-minded people who thought bigger, who made me think bigger. I literally just told the story yesterday to a group that I was talking and training. Someone asked me, you know, like when did it all change? It all changed when I believed. When I believed that things were bigger. I was sitting, you were there. It was in 2010 in Frisco, Texas, or I'm sorry, not Frisco. The Shops of Legacy. And it was EGS 2010. And Jay was up on stage interviewing Curtis Johnson, Blake Sloan, and who was the other guy with KW? What was his name? He's up in like the Northeast, like Vermont area. You know what I'm talking about. He ended up buying his own market center. And
Adam Hergenrother.
Adam Hergenrother was on the panel. And there might have been a fourth. I can't remember.
You know what's funny, man? You think about those people that you just mentioned right there. They're titans in the industry.
Titans.
Hergy's Gary's right hand. Like
straight up honey badgers.
I mean, he's still KW. He's still a honey badger, though. That dude's a baller.
Well, I mean, look at Blake. Killing.
Behemoth. We're going to do 800 deals this year? 900 deals?
Wow.
In Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
So
that was a pivotal point in my career. And it was because I made a decision with very little money in the bank to, if any, in 2010, to get my ass to Dallas, get into a room of bigger thinkers. And I sat in the, you know, 18th row or wherever the hell I was at, watching that. And that's when it just clicked. I was like, I found the belief that I needed to believe. Yeah. You know, like these guys, I was just having cocktails with these guys last night. They're up here, you know, talking about selling 400, 500, 600 homes a year. Curtis Johnson crushing the game. I'm like, all right. I went back home to Cleveland with a feeling of inspiration, a belief that I could do it better than I've ever had, you know? So it's about that room, man.
It is about that room. And so just to give everybody some context, they're like, okay, well, Al, I get it. You know, how do I change my belief? And what we have to realize is that beliefs are just a collection of our thoughts. So we have a thought that we latch onto that we now become a belief. And those beliefs, we know, drive our feelings, which drive our actions, which drive our results. But everything that Al's unpacked is that circumstance and environment is what changes your thinking. And so being in that room, and it's time and money. And if it's not a big enough priority, or if it's not important enough to you, then you'll find an excuse to say why you don't have the time or the money. And like Jay's first coaching program he got into, he put it on 2 credit cards, right? Like, I mean, so there's always a way. And that's one of my favorite concepts in what, in the book you mentioned, Hard Thing About Hard Things, that book's by Ben Horowitz, for all of you guys listening in. He also has he has 2 books. His other book is, You Are What You Do. It's about culture. And it's how you behave is really what your culture is, which is just, a collection of your people, how you behave. That's, as we know, is what becomes culture, but it's fantastic. So if you're looking to dial your culture in, get that book as well. But I can't recommend Hard Thing About Hard Things enough. I remember I listened to that book like 5 or 6 times before I gave it to Jay, and it's one of his top 3 favorite books of all time. I would say it's top 5 for me for sure.
Yeah.
And one of the key principles out of his book that he talks about is that you always got to move. You are never out unless you say you're out, unless you quit. That's it. You always have a move. You just haven't found the right tweak. And this was so good. I wrote this down. Coach Burt said this. I don't even think he saw it. He said, it's not a failure. It's just a small tweak to a bigger opportunity. He said that yesterday, and I was like, oh, I got to write that down. That was so good. It's not a failure.
Yeah.
You just got to make a little tweak and it'll be a bigger opportunity. I was like, got it.
That's it.
Got it.
Love it.
And you look at the people that inspire you that are doing big things. And what Coach was referencing yesterday is he was reading Super Founder. And Super Founder, the book of to be classified as a super founder is that you've sold your company upwards north of 10 million, of at least 10 million. And what they've proven is that anybody that's able to sell a company of 10 million or greater, they have the greatest opportunity or possibility to become a billionaire. And so that was his whole concept. And he was giving example after example, and he was like, it's just like you look at how YouTube started. What was it? It was, and then you look at how Instagram started, right? He was just giving, there's some couple of those examples that we all aware of, and it was just a little tweak, right? It just, this doesn't work, but they didn't give up. They just made a little tweak, and then they go YouTube and sell for $1 billion, and same thing with Instagram, as Gary Vee says, Facebook stole it.
Mind you, YouTube. When Google bought YouTube, they weren't even profitable.
Probably not.
And I don't even know if they are now, to be honest. No. They maybe they are now. I don't know. I need to look closely at it, but I know that they were about to like go under. I mean, they were robbing Peter to pay Paul just to keep the platform up.
Yeah.
And then Uncle Google came in.
You're never out unless you say you're out. Always a move. You just gotta see what the move is. You always have a move. So, I'll give you another example. we were shutting the real estate company down in Lawton. There was $2,000 in the bank, and we couldn't make payroll. And just because I had listened to that book, I'm on the phone. I remember driving down Preston Road, heading into the office, and I called Jay, and I said, here's the situation. And he said, fuck it, close it down. I was like, we got to move. He's like, what's the move? I said, we sell the company. He's like, what? What you talking about? You crazy. I said, that's the move. That's the only move. And I called Reedy and Stace. They weren't even thinking that was even an opportunity. And it hit them so hard, but you know what? It changed their lives because they now became from an employee to a business owner.
Yeah.
It was the right move. And it was the only move we had. I mean, truth be told. And I mean, it's worked out. I'm so happy for them. Geez, I couldn't be more happy for them. But it was the right thing to do, but it was the only thing to do. And that's what I mean. You always have a move unless you just quit.
Love it. You always have a move, man.
Awesome. Hey, so Adams was kind of asking, and I've never personally run a challenge. I've been in some challenges, but he was talking about 12 listings in 90 days. How do you push that? How do you keep that? What are some things? I mean, is it what are your thoughts on challenges?
Well, and I'm not saying this is a judgment because I mean, if it's something that's going to move the needle, then do it and execute on it. You have to have an active scoreboard that's kept up to date. You have to have a structure in place where everyone knows what the score is. and all that. I would say, I don't know how many people we're talking about that would be part of this challenge, but 12 listings in 90 days, it doesn't seem difficult enough. Like, it doesn't seem, you know what I mean? Like, I think you might want to double on that. You know, like, I remember we just challenged ourselves, you know, I don't remember what year this was, but I think it was like 2015 or 16. 90 days, 56 listings in 90 days was the goal. And we fell short of it, but we hit like 48, something like that. But I guess it's all relative to how much money you're spending on marketing. Do you have ISAs? You know, we had ISAs in place. And so, you know, it was a bit of a different thing. I mean, it was an attainable goal for sure. But first thing I would do is, you know, shoot probably bigger than 12. This is my opinion. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and I would say, you said, what are some value adds you would include in the day-to-day of the challenge? I guess I'd need to think about it, but, you know, I think that recognition is a big deal, obviously. So, you know, recognizing the person for getting it. There obviously could be a big, you know, a party at the end for everybody. If that was the big prize for hitting the goal, it should be whatever it is. It should be worth the while for the group to want to hit it. They should be enthusiastically all behind it and excited every day to hit it. And then you as a leader need to be keeping that scoreboard visible, up to date, and constantly, you know, inspiring them, you know, to be moving forward and just, you know, publicly acknowledging and publicly celebrating wins along the way. Anything to add to that, John?
Yeah, 100%. You know, and he may be referencing this as, you know, as an agent attraction, you know, tool as well, trying to get people into kind of a group to push on how to get those. So if that was the case, I would, you know, daily, I would do, you know, daily role play for maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then maybe some type of group ability to make phone calls together. And like you said, you got to have a scoreboard. You've got to have it there. I would do daily prizes. It could be, you know, Starbucks cards. The thing is with listings is out of your control. So you have to focus on the activities that are within your control. Within your control is engagement. Within your control is contacts. What's in your control is, you know, conversations. What's within your control is asking for the appointment. So focus and acknowledge the behavior that drives the results, which is getting a qualified listing appointment that's actually going to meet with you, that you have a high probability of pitching your offer and securing the listing. So just really, you know, focus in and you know, that's the hook. You know, we're going to get you all this business, but I think part of that, you have to focus daily on the activities that drive those results and scoreboard it and praise it and reward it. That has to be a part of it.
I'm not saying that this is the end all be all, but there is a system that we created a few years back, and it's called the we call it the Stasek method. You know, you can just Google that and YouTube it. And there's I think I have like 2 different videos that explains exactly like how to use that system. 25, 10, 4, 25 opportunities should lead to 10 RAN appointments, to a minimum of 4 listings taken if you're cranking away. And so that's on a monthly basis, by the way. And it's a fun thing to do because everybody has the ability to buy sticky notes, and everyone can buy there's no big technology to learn or anything. It's just a whiteboard. And so, you know, everybody can, you know, it's something that everybody can get together. And we talk about a scoreboard. These are the lead measures that lead to the taking of the listings. And so tracking opportunities, tracking listings ran, stuff like that, celebrating the fact that they're keeping up with their boards, they're creating new opportunities. Those are what's going to lead to the gold, which are sales, you know, which is a lagging measure. So
I think I just posted it. I might have just gone to YouTube here on the feed, but we did you and I did Expert Mentors together, episode 5 of Expert Mentors, of that exact method. That should tell you how that was July of 2020, and we're 168 episodes deep with Expert Mentors. That was episode 5.
I'm gonna use a word that my teenagers use all the time. Sheesh.
Sheesh.
Sheesh. Matthew got his Christmas or his birthday presents yesterday, and he opened up the Mac. I got him a MacBook because he's into like editing video, and that's his new thing. Is like he is like loves video, loves taking pictures.
That's
wants
awesome.
to learn to edit, and so he opens that up and he goes, "Sheesh." I'm gonna take that as a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's
so
awesome.
There was just in kind of changing direction a bit, John. This reminded me of a documentary that I watched last week. And have you watched the WeWork documentary?
No, I have not. Were you the one that mentioned that to me? Somebody else might have mentioned it as well.
I might have. So there's a couple out there. So you got to be, and you know, ultimately, I think, let's see, where is it? It's not HBO. Is it HBO? No, Hulu. It's on Hulu. And so if you have Hulu, and I can't think of what the name of it is, but just type in WeWork. It's a really fascinating story. Okay. This kid in his 30s that came from Israel. I think he immigrated, over. He's just so charismatic. So much so that he got everyone bought into the vision. And the vision was really great. Like when you listen to this guy speak, you want to get on board with this, right? The problem was the numbers didn't work. So it's a great example of someone who can create a community. He did an amazing job creating a community, building this community of people who all believed the same thing that he believed, which was that there was a better way to work. There was a better way. There was a better environment that people could come together, collaborate, help each other grow, have the collisions than your typical corporate whatever. And it blew up. And it's a cool story that ends in a tragedy, because ultimately, they grew WeWork. It had this just BS valuation of $70 million. And this is before they took it to an IPO, and he kept hesitating on it. I won't give the whole thing away. I mean, watch it, but it's just it's really cool to see someone that you would think, man, they got this nailed, but they didn't have it fully nailed. They had some of it nailed. But if you guys haven't had a chance, give that the reason that I watched it was because I've been for the last 4 years kind of fascinated with the whole concept of a workspace. And with a couple partners right now, we're building our own out in Lakewood, Ohio right now.
That's awesome.
A lot of the FYI, if people don't know, the Catholic diocese around the country are offloading a lot of their properties. Sometimes they're going to hang on to the church, but sell the rectory and the school. And we're seeing that a lot because a lot of the Catholic schools are at least in this area, they're shutting down. In fact, the one that I went to just shut down last year. And so they're, if they can, they keep the church open, whatever. So that was the case. We took over the whole second floor of an old Catholic school, and we're making it into a WeWork-like space. And it's exciting. I'm super excited about the project.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. And so if anybody has a chance, watch that.
That's so cool.
Cool story.
Yeah. I mean, that's what all the Kenny Trongs, the Jack and Michael Perrys of the world, they're all going, the elaborate spaces. I was talking to a gentleman that's on GoGo's team, GoGo, that lives in Tampa. And, they're building GoGo and Dwayne are building in Tampa. And I was like, y'all got to get the space. Y'all have to, have to get the space. And it's just those that are growing at an exponential rate. I mean, look at Kenny. Man, you got to go back and watch the last Expert Mentors with Kenny Trong. Holy moly. You want to talk about thinking bigger? Like, he's thinking on a whole nother level that most people aren't even thinking about.
I'm writing it down. I missed it.
Yeah, unbelievable. So
Kenny Trong.
The last Expert Mentors we did. So, all right, brother, we are almost to the top of the hour. I'm gonna take care of some calls, go down and see the boys down in the room. I know Jay and Wally are rocking it out today, day 2 of boot camp, and just keep making it happen.
Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you.
Always good to connect with everybody. Everyone, if of course, if you need anything, reach out to any of us. We're here to support you. Have a great rest of this going into the second week here of December, approaching the next holiday. So we'll see you at the top or from the top, everybody.
Top. See you. Thanks, brother.